Northwest Coast Natives by Zach and Gareth. Northwest Coast natives have been here for 10,000 years. Their population in British Columbia before the Europeans came was at least 500,000 people. Scientists believe that their ancestors were ancient Asian hunters that crossed the land bridge during the Ice Age. The natives of the Northwest Coast have no written language and tell their history through dance, song, and spoken stories. The Northwest Coast natives lived along the Pacific coast from southern Alaska through British Columbia to northern California. They live in isolated areas where the temperature is moderate and it rains a lot. Today, most Northwest Coast natives speak English, but they also speak around 19 different native languages. Northwest Coast native social structure was based on wealth and social status. Each tribe had nobles, commoners, and slaves. Each tribe is made up of different clans. Each tribe has a chief who is the highest ranking person of all the clans. You could tell a person's social status by looking at their fancy clothes and jewelry. Marriages were arranged between people from different clans. If the man agreed to the marriage, a payment would be made to the woman's father. When their first child was born, it would become part of the wife's clan, and she would pay back the amount he paid to marry her. Men built the long houses, carved totem poles and canoes, did the fishing, hunting, and defended the tribe. Women gathered food, cooked, cleaned, took care of the children, wove clothes and containers, spun twine, and preserved the fish. Natives of the Northwest Coast lived in large houses called longhouses. Each longhouse was 50 to 150 feet long and 20 to 60 feet wide with no windows and one front door. The interior of the longhouse was lined with tools, clothes, and other items for hunting. The longhouse had a low roof and a fire in the middle with a chimney to keep the interior warm. Their major food sources were salmon, illicorn, clams, oysters, crabs, and other shellfish and mammals. They used oil from whales, seals, and illicorn in their cooking to make dried fish taste better. A smokehouse was used to preserve meat and fish, then the food would be stored in bentwood boxes. The Northwest Coast is a rainforest with tall dense trees and mountain terrain. This provided protection for the villages. Adapting to their environment by building canoes for transportation was important because they could travel on rivers and ocean to have contact and trade with other tribes. The natives' belief is animism-based. They believe that spirits exist in humans and animals and all natural objects. They believe that human beings should live in peace with their environment and all forms of life. Most important is Mother Earth. A shaman is a religious mystical expert that has healing powers because they could communicate with spirits. Today they are called spiritual leaders. Spiritual leaders wear masks and go into trances while performing healing rituals. Northwest Coast natives believe that getting a cold or sickness meant that the person was being punished for something they did, and it also meant that their soul was lost. The culture of the Northwest Coast natives was based mostly on music and dance. Spirit dancers would sing and dance in ceremonial masks to tell stories about why the seasons changed or how they first appeared in this world. Masks and songs are so sacred that you can't talk about them unless you are part of the clan. Native art usually shows supernatural beings or animal spirits from the First Nations culture. There are three major styles of Northwest Coast native art: Northern, Central, and Southern art. Symmetrical art is the same on both sides. Rotational symmetry is when the same object appears more than once if it's rotated 360 degrees. Asymmetrical is when the design is different from side to side. Totem poles are carved from a whole log of red cedar tree because they are rot resistant. They are used to show the clan's crest of social status, history, or even to shame people. In 1778, Captain Cook had the first contact with natives of the Northwest Coast. The white people brought disease that the natives had no immunity to. In 1862, the smallpox killed 70% of the Northwest Coast native population. The Tsleil-Waututh tribe had a population of 10,000 people before the epidemic, and after there were 13 people left alive. The government decided that they would claim the land that originally belonged to the natives and set aside a small portion for the Northwest Coast natives. These lands were called Indian Reserves. In 1857, the Canadian government made a legislation saying that the natives were inferior to other citizens of Canada and must stay on their Indian reserves. In 1884, the Government of Canada took native children from their homes and made them go to religious residential schools where they faced physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. The natives of the Northwest Coast have legal rights to their lost land. They are now recognized as citizens of Canada and have the right to self-government. The Northwest Coast Native tribes are environmentally active and focus on protecting the environment for future generations. The Salish tribes have been putting salmon back into the rivers, created a green energy wind turbine industry, and are converting tribal housing into using only green energy. They are trying to stop the pipeline that Kinder Morgan is trying to build, which would cross their land and endanger the environment for everyone. Chief Reuben George is the chief of the Northwest Coast Salish. Chief Phil Wayne Jr. is the hereditary chief and elder of the Dakotas and the Chickasaw Nation. Both men are fighting to stop Kinder Morgan's pipeline expansion. They are both spiritual leaders teaching people around the world about the North American native culture and the importance of saving the environment for everyone.